Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for coming in this conference. Today we are going to talk a little bit about insights into the visual effects industry, of course, in connection to 3D environment art. And we can just jump immediately in. Before I introduce myself, first I want to thank Matthias Buehler and Thomas Gronert for inviting me and having me here. It's really a pleasure working with you guys, and I think this is just a beginning for much more that we can do together, which I will explain a little bit further later on when I explain about the mega brains. So first, something about me. Yeah, my name is Agon Ushaku. I am 25 years now on CG industry. Started with DOS, if anybody of you knows what this means, and 3D Studio for DOS back then. Actually, I started with Amiga, and it was really a difficult time for us that worked with 3D because it was very new. Computers were not very fast, and you had no internet, and the books where you can learn something were just the books that were provided with software, and they were not at the beginning quite so good. So we had to do much more trial and error than people do now, for example. But back then, 1998 was my first successful animation that I did for Novartis Pharma from Switzerland. And that made me to continue in this industry that I still love it like the first day and never lost the motivation for it. So at the moment, I work at the Unexpected GmbH in Stuttgart. It's also a company that exists about 25 years now. I am there about 20 years, and I shaped together with my colleagues the company really well to that what become today. My position at the moment is head of 3D and computer-aided design visuals management. I started as a modeler mostly, and then modeling supervisor, lighting supervisor, and the visual effects supervisor in some of the shots that we used to do, but mostly what has to do with modeling and in general with product modeling. I had some pluses when I started with modeling because I started simultaneously to learn modeling in polygonal matter and in the NURBS level. So there are completely different styles of modeling, but knowing both of them can really make the difference for different arts of work. As the second activity, like I said, I get sometimes the role of the creative producer at the company, and I supervise CG shots or animations, mostly with outsourcing companies or teams when we are pushed or when we are less full with work, so we have to organize another company, and then I travel then, I don't do it remotely, and then I supervise the shots that are provided. This is not everything. My second activity is also as a member of Visual Effects Society. This is what we are going to talk mostly tonight. I am at the moment chairman from the Germany chapter at Visual Effects Society. I am also a curator of Visual Effects Society Mega Brain Masterclasses, which I will also talk afterwards a little bit. And we have also some plans with ICE conference to make some collaborations in the future with Mega Brain Masterclasses, so we can have some more content and diverse content in general. I am also at the headquarters in LA, Visual Effects, I will say VES, it's shorter, VES Awards Committee member. The committee is about checking the old entries and do they really deserve to be awarded in some way, which I will talk a little bit later about that. And also I am responsible for the nomination event that take place in Europe and Africa, that's region 3, with all the chapters that provide these two regions. I'm also active as independent CGI production and visual quality assurance consultant in Germany and abroad. And last but not least, I am lecturer of 2D and 3D design and 3D modeling at Hochschule Makromedia in Stuttgart in the study directions game design, animation and illustration, and communication, media communication design. So this is now the reel that I think Matthias was going to play it from Unexpected, so you can see some of works that we did. So you just saw a reel of some works that we done in the last years. We have done much more, but this is I think the most. We have also the recent works, but we, through the legal agreements, as you know, we are not allowed to show them right now. That's why the works that you saw now are about for 2 or 3 years old. And the next one we are going to release as soon as we have the permits for visual effects and 3D environment. What are visual effects actually? Visual effects actually refer to the process where the images are completely created or manipulated outside the context of the live action shoot in filmmaking and video production. So of course, the visual effects is also, if you work something on Photoshop, everything that you do afterwards in post-processing or after rendering, especially, I will take some really simple examples from the architectural visualization, which is more industrial visualization, but also the things that you do. So the rendering that you do, you are creating it and you are then working in Photoshop on it, on top of it. This is actually visual effects. But in today's world, if you say visual effects industry, it's more referred to effects that we are using for better storytelling, for more inviting visual productions for our eyes. And of course, that's what is not achievable from a live action shoot. And so the visual effects process may include basic workflows. These are some of basic workflows. I try to narrow it down that the live action with live action combination, if you take 2 live actions from different places and combine them, that's also visual effects, because you need it's not shot on the same place, so you have to make a combination of them. Live action with CGI is with computer generated imagery, and I will use the word CGI, and of course CGI combination with CGI, which means it's a full CGI visual effects shot, which is actually very I think most of you know. But if we say now architectural visualization. In architectural visualization, mostly what you do is to give the customer the building to be seen, how it will look when it's built. So sometimes it's the realism not very important, or the composition, but the precision. Do I have the right windows? Do I have the right corners and things like that? So it depends what you want to do. Visual effects in visualization you can put to make it more inviting, also for storytelling. And if you use it in composition, some organic approaches, you have first to check the realism, how it will be in the real when it's produced. And this is, I took just a simple, not the very best one, but for a customer, this was enough to see how this is going to look on this given place. And what do we have here as a visual effects? Of course, we have almost everything is CG except the sky. The sky is a picture that's we took and then we put it on the background, or the artist that did it put it on the background. And we can see on colors and things that it is somewhat realistic, but it's enough just to see for the customer. But for presentations, sometimes, here's a little bit larger view of it, you need to make some organic decision, I would say. When I say organic, is everything that can happen randomly in the real life and make it more believable. So this is, for example, what I mean with that. And I mean, you put some people in the real size over there, and then, for example, look at the blinds. None of them is really on the same place, because everybody's living somewhere else and everybody's having his own way of life, what it makes more organic in the way of giving the storytelling. And the customer, when saw this, he was very pleased about it. And he said, yeah, now it makes more and more sense, and he can sell it better. And then you go to details and things like that. This is how much you go actually in visualization. I'm not talking about animations now, from the in visual effects with visualizations at the architecture. But the question is that what is better, to make it real or believable? Of course, as a storyteller, you will say make it believable, because just believability can tell you the story, and if it's real, but it's not believable, you don't have this connection, this emotional connection, what you are getting with your product or visuals. So in this case, the organic approach, like I said, is the best way to do it. But I know that sometimes the customer doesn't want that because doesn't know what's better. The same thing is with one room from the same building. Like you're seeing, is also everything the same. Everything is CG created except the background picture of the field and the trees. That is a real picture from the real life. And the organicity and storytelling now is made through elements like this. You know, the books here, and then we have this here, we have somebody was shopping and just put the shopping bags there. It makes it believable that you can really live there because it's not that sterile, it's not that clean and things like that. And this is where the visual effects come in. So it's not about just about storytelling, it's about the implementing these organic elements to look believable, like there are there, or the light that now is coming in this room is exactly from the background as well. Visual effects workflows or layers for believable results is, as first, you do live action shooting with set supervision. Then you make CG elements creation for set enrichment and extensions. For example, you can film something, you can shoot something on set, but you would like to extend the city, for example, or to put some more elements on the street, or the seat was not that much crowded, you couldn't get not so much statist, and you have to make some more elements that are also animated and not only static. So CG elements can be environmental elements, backgrounds, and static elements. In our environment is everything that really it's around where the camera is shooting. From the little bee that is flying to maybe a little stone for storytelling that's positioned on the corner. We have then animated enrichment like crowds, flock of birds, leaves, choose anything you want to add to your scene to make it more crowded, believable. Even they are animated, but they have not to do with our protagonist. They are still part of the environment design and visual effects. And what do you have in addition to visual effects? These are just the elements to complete the scene and composition for your storytellings, what I mentioned till now. But on top of that, we have CG effects like particles, dust, weather conditions, explosions, smoke, whatever it comes, you name it. So these are additional effects. That's why it's called CGFX, that put the believability of the shot, make it more immersive and more it's better and inviting to look and watch it. And additionally to this, to visual effects is also composite editing effects. This is something that you do on top when you all combined all these elements. And in this, you can do color correction if something, for example, was rendered into different things, but you want to fit them together. Or color grading. This is something that you do at color grading is something that you make a kind of moody look. It's more than editing duty to do it on the mood or following the color scheme that is made with a director for the storytelling. For example, mostly the set scenes are not very color saturated, and the happy scenes are more saturated, have more light and things. And this is all the elements that make the storytelling much immersive in visual effects. Then you can correct lighting in compositing. You don't have to re-render some things in some cases. Then you have masking and retouching. For example, if you now have set that you have to shoot something with green screen, and in the background there is kind of stairs or something, you have to put it out so that you can work with these plates to combine them. And this is also visual effects, cleaning the plates. Then you have on top effects like chromatic aberration, depth of field that you can organize to make them the bokeh effects, like you say afterwards, lens effects, and everything else. So this is a little together put what visual effects are actually about. So, and there is much more that are part of visual effects, but these are things that if you say, I'm working visual effects industry for the movie, you know that at least one of these was done, and there are categories that different artists do it. Compositors, you have compositors that are very good with tracking. There are some that are with cleaning the place. The others are good on color correction and effects addition and things like this. So you see, we have categories and subcategories and subcategories, and it's good to know them a little bit as a visual effects artist, all of them a little bit, but you can really not be very deep down professional in everything. You have to specialize in one direction that you find it more interesting for yourself. So now I will show you a Huawei commercial that we did at Unexpected. First, we will show the commercial, and then we will jump into the making of.
Start. Dual foul.
You can jump in immediately to making of, please. So you saw it in the making of, that I'm not going to explain very much. We had a live shooting with green screen, so we can use mates. We had, just a second. We had a second. We had shooting also, like you have seen. We went to our team. I was not there. The shooting in the green screen was made in London. It was, by the way, a pleasure to work with Gal Gadot. She made us really a lot of things easier. And another team was shooting the complete environment in Iceland. Yeah, sorry. And but for the producer then said it has to be more like other planet. And my responsibility in this commercial was this car, the exterior. It had to be neutral and to be futuristic. But all the shoots that we did, we had to remake with some more spacey things and spikes than in 3D for environment. So to look not like Earth very much. So these are some of things that we did. You saw the car that had some mark points on it because this Mazda we used to track the animation so we can put our CG car on it. And the old effects that I mentioned before, like dust and the old things that the car can do it while driving, and the effects that makes with the environment while this was also made completely in CG. So now I will jump to Visual Effects Society, where I am a chair from Germany. And Visual Effects Society is a global professional honorary society and entertainment industry only organization that's representing the full breadth of visual effects practitioners. And we have about around 5,000 members worldwide, represented in 45 countries and counting, because I know that we are getting some more countries here. And you have to know that all the members that are, all these 5,000 members, they contribute to all areas of entertainment. It can be film, television, commercials, animation, special venue, games, new media, technology, visualizations, and more. And speaking of that, we have maybe here environment, a lot of architects with a background. In my experience, I work really, really well with architects, and we have a lot of architects in visual effects industry. It's not about what they build, but some of the best lighters that we have in our works came from the background of architecture. And I can just say this is from my own experience. VES had a vision, a permanent honorary global organization. The visual is a membership, and the visual effects industry are recognized and respected worldwide. So, and the mission is to advance and promote visual effects and empower our global honorary society membership through professional education, enriching benefits, fostering community and industry recognition. We have down just the chapters that we have now, but we are getting some much more here. So how do we honor them? And one of the greatest events that we have in the Visual Effects Society is VES Awards. That this is how it looks. And we have also very prominent people in these awards, like you can see here, Mark Hamill, then Zoe Saldana, the crew from Star Trek above, and things like that, and others. And we have a lot of categories to honor every category, because we need sometimes 300 artists to make something working, and everybody has his own specialty. This is one part of the categories that gets prize. Then I intentionally marked them because this is a environmental conference, that we have 3 categories that we honor with the prize that do environments. One is environment in photoreal feature, environment in animated feature, and environment in episode, commercial, game, or in real-time project. And this is the list of all categories that will get prizes, and you can also provide your material. We have also here, if you can see, Emerging Technology Award. If you work or invent something in technology that really helps our work at the Visual Effects Society. These are some screenshots from the nomination event that we had this year in January. Here is the London chapter. These were all the judges that judged the all entries. This is the nomination panel in Berlin. This is the nomination panel here in Paris. And we had also online panels, like you see, our host, Matthias Buehler, was there too in the panel for nomination. And here down you see the committee of Visual Effects Society, the 6 of us. So what are you, like you said, 5,000 members worldwide. What are the benefits of being a member? Because you have to pay for the membership. They enjoy global recognition, fabulous networking, leadership opportunities, outstanding educational programs, and exclusive discounts and resources. So, but let me see, what are really the benefits? Leadership opportunities, they members can everywhere can vote to nominate outstanding work. I showed now the nomination event. They can shape the future of society by being a part of the board member, or like myself, for example, bringing the Mega Brains as a part of educational initiative for the all members worldwide. Then there is peer-to-peer mentoring program. You can, as a member, you can be mentor for somebody who is young, or also ask for mentorship. And this is one-to-one mentorship, and it's really very good. And sometimes you get really great people that are very long there. You get in this free subscription from Netflix for a year as a member. Then you get a free printed edition of Visual Effects Voice. Here I have some issues here that you can see them. This is one of the best visual effects magazines that you can get out there. Then you have free digital subscription of Variety, of Hollywood Reporter, and to Animation Magazine. Health and well-being, you have the VES member assistance program if you're doing the hard time, job loss, or something that is not really fitting in your work. We are there. Our committee of well-being will take care of you. And some of other things that you can afterwards look at the recording, or just visit, like here, the vsglobal.org, and you can get more information about that. You get also award session feature episodic screeners issued by the studios via streaming Blu-ray and DVD, sent home, or codes that you can watch online, mostly things that are not yet in the cinema, or as streaming services as well. Then you have these free screenings in persons. We have now in Stuttgart, for example, the next one, the Monkey Man. All members can participate without paying for that in the cinema that pays the Visual Effects headquarters. And of course, we have discounted VS award submission fees up to, like, for example, now, if you're a VS member, you want to go to FMX, you get additional 20% less price to pay than a regular price, even if it's early bird. So then you have exclusive programs and resources, Ask Me Anything, VS Pro Tells All, then video gallery, VS Archive, virtual production resources, member resources, and the books that are published under the label of Visual Effects Society. You get also some releases and price, a special price. Educational resources, you have, for example, a Sphere Effects 15% discount if you're a member, FX PhD also, and GNOME School of Visual Effects 10%. And of course, okay, this document is a little bit old. You have access to Mega Brain masterclasses for free. Health insurance, I'm not going to mention it now very much because it's more for America and Canada for now. And we will see how this will go with other countries. I also mentioned that I think I'm light out of time, if I'm not wrong, Matthias, but you can stop me anytime. I mentioned that I am also curator of MegaBrain masterclasses. Firstly, the MegaBrains were from a predecessor of mine before I came to the board, but it was just locally in Germany once or two, I mean 3 times mostly. And I use this to extend it to be worldwide accessible. At the moment is just for the Visual Effects Society members, but it can. We are working with Matthias and Thomas for the future that maybe we do some also accessible without being Visual Effects member. Firstly, so we have really cutting edge material, professionals, making offs, tips and tricks how to do things from all different companies out there and industries. We have different themes: technological, procedural, artistic, pipeline, or also we have, like here, for example, volume 7, number 3 from Jeremy Vickery, masterclasses that are timeless. They learn you about light approaching and things like that that you can always. It's something like looking Caravaggio again, how the light is influencing the room. We have also with real-time technologies things and much more. I made a little video with just short things, just shortcuts from some of these masterclass, so you can have a little bit of idea what these MegaBrain masterclasses are for. And this is one of the biggest benefits to being a visual effects member. But like I said, the future of MegaBrain masterclasses will be mostly for visual effects members, but we are going to make also content for everybody. So Matthias, if you can now play the video, that will be great.
line is right to left. But if you notice the middle one, the little sparkly thing is actually traveling left to right. And then in the bottom one, when Squishy gets hit, it's back traveling right to left. So in this case, the animation crossed the line. I can't fix that with camera without really translating the camera and breaking things.
If he could do a t-shirt, because he want to be doing videos where he explains stuff, and he already had a rough layout on how it should look, or an idea that he had, which was that one over here. And so I took that as the first idea, the first approach to start through that. So we're going through some of the iterations that happened. Sometimes there were ideas I was trying to go for. Sometimes it went into a dead end.
It starts in layout, and that's where the scene is first brought into 3D. And while this stage is also pretty early on in the film, it's a lot safer. It's a good starting point to start planning the effects and strategy. We already see that everything's in 3D space. We start to see the layout of the effects in some cases, like here. And it's a good point to start designing our workflows. And though it can happen, it's not common for an entire sequence.
Simulation and machine learning and real-time character creation, which is going to revolutionize characters. As me, I'm a lighting TD by trade, and I spent most of my time calling out creases and penetrations and all that, and kicking it back to get correctives done. This will solve that problem, and that character you see right there is real-time in Unity.
So yeah, we don't want to rebuild assets every single time, because yeah, if it's already done once, we can reuse it. So we try to reuse assets as much as possible to save both time and money. We've been talking about virtual production before.
So today I'm going to talk about the pipeline at DNEG and some of the design decisions that went into it.
Working for a Swiss game studio actually, and we produced over 500 3D buildings for them for their game. So as you can see already, we have quite a wide variety of working in different industries because we just work in 3D architecture. This project here was a kind of consulting / implementation project.
More story to this. At some point, an animation student came to our research group and said, well, I'm sitting here day for day in front of Maya looking into gray shaded Play Plus, and at home I'm playing these games which are wonderfully graphically laid out
and essentially duplicating them across and upwards and backwards to fill all the ground underneath. And after that, I'm just going to kind of merge all those points together, and that will create the sort of and extrude it down, and that will create the base for my stadium. And then I'm just going to Boolean some boxes out of this so I can have some tunnels going out as well. So an important thing that I'm doing through all this is
develop and the branding concept of the fashion industry. And the question at the beginning is, why did the fashion industry adapt 3D? So the idea was that
the interesting thing with USD is we are now able to read the same USD file in all the softwares used by the pipeline. So it's a big change because now,
and just seeing what I can learn from this world. I've had a little bit of connection to it. Of course, we can look back, and this goes back thousands of years in the use of light, into ancient structures. This building, is 2,000 years old, and you can visit it now, but they designed it so that there can always be light inside of it.
A really great one, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later.
For our very existence, we are this close to winning the war.
Has in a different lighting scenarios, it was made, and the shader by itself was made completely in Unreal. Yep, and we could change its 3D world scale, roughness, and all of the global parameters.
To exchange our set of wheels, but we saw that we needed a second one. One was just simply not enough for the work that we were doing.
So thank you very much. I hope that with this you have a little bit a glimpse of what visual effects stands for and what Visual Effects Society also stands for. I think since I'm out of time a little bit, I will be on Discord now for any question. And thank you very much for being here.
I do have 2 notes so far, but let's start with this one. So if you're a person, especially for younger people that are kind of trying to get into the industry where visual effects are needed. So as we have seen, this could be in games, this could be in film or in episodic or /TV. And also among your own students, how do you specifically address the question of should a person become more a generalist or more a specialist? And what are your advice to kind of discover what people really are into?
That's really a good question, because it has also to do with the evolving of our industry. Back then, I started as a programmer, and I remember the time that it was enough just for you to know to work with computers. and they asked you, can you do some architectural things with computer? Even you were not architect, it was enough to know computers for the beginning. And we know that with the time, you got the specific fields of working on different directions, so it's not enough knowing computers. In CG industry afterwards, I would really prefer to everyone, and I do this also to my students when I'm lecturing, it's good to know everything a little bit. Like if you learn 3D modeling, you cannot avoid not learning about texturing and surfacing, for example, because you need to see your end result a little bit. This, of course, this does not count from product designers if they design a car or something like this. This is completely different approach, but it's sometimes, if you know how it works, everything, then you will also know what you want to learn more, because you will find in all these things that you tried, you will find what you like most and where you want to be the professional. And between this and choosing something or being generalist, it's also the thing that sometimes it's good to know the whys and the know-hows, and you will know the whys if you just started to test them and just made the basics. So I can prefer everybody to make the basics. I know a lot of people from Film Academy that started as in 3D and CG, and they are now compositors. They never done 3D again, and vice versa as well. So it's a journey. It's a journey, but specialize in something, especially if you want to say, I love it and I want to do this thing and I want to live from that. I have just this recommendation to everybody: choose something that really is missing out there. But because the time is coming now, we had artists and we had technicians, but now the hybrid people are very loved. They are artists, but they can also program. So there's always good to know something more, but choose what you want to do and do it till the end. Yeah. If this answers your questions.
Yeah, I actually I do have a quick follow-up question based on your answer. So you are a teacher, and there's, or kind of at a university, right? So you're a professor at a university, and there's tons of materials also online, and I've seen this in past also with some of my artists, or I've had some of the kind of these discussions of kind of or people also considering to go and study, let's say, game art or visual effects, or learning how to model in texture and all of those things. And there's at the moment there's a lot of, let's say, insecurity about, or by younger people, if they should even pay for an education, or if they should just kind of stay at home studying YouTube tutorials or things like that, especially now also with all of the change coming in with the changing tools with AI, with all the prompt engineering and all of those aspects. What would you, let me phrase it very directly, what is the advantage of actually, and by the way, I do know some answers, or I would know some answers, so it's not just a trick question, but I'm curious about your answer. Where is the advantage of still going kind of to school to study?
It's the direct connection. Me as a lecturer, I can see the insecurity on the eyes directly on my students, and then I can pick that thing and try to unfold it and to make them secure. In the school, you will not learn things from tutorials, but I also advise them to watch some tutorials, but everything what I do is not to be found with tutorials. And why? It's the way to make things understandable. I have some students that you will maybe laugh now, that never touched a computer mouse. So we are now coming to the generation of iPads or tablets and phones. The mouse is something that they maybe touched once or they heard about it. So there's when you start somehow to, it's really crazy, but exactly, we are coming there, we are getting there. And when you explain 3D and when you see the first result that they did till now in these years that I teach, I had always a great response how I made them to love the 3D. Is this personal? I know that you as a student is talking to me, and the YouTube guy is talking to everybody, and you can do just this tutorial, and maybe you can use a little bit. Tutorials are good. Online tutorials are good, and they are good just to jump in, but to initiate a little bit your creativity in your own thing, what you want to do, you need more. And this is what the school stands for. I think one more thing about this. I think that people that just rely on YouTube tutorials, they aim mostly to make similar things than you see a lot. And people that try to extend their, to use that just as a basis and to say, let me try now something else from this tutorial. Let me change some other things, or let me see an effect on a film and I want to reproduce it now because this is how I check my skills. I saw an animation there, I want to do it in Blender. This is where my teaching stands for, to initiate this kind of approach of learning things. And if you do that and you achieve that, this is some wisdom that is going to stuck in your head. YouTube tutorials are mostly tutorials that you have to repeat them because they don't stay long on your head. So.
Yeah, I mean, I had long chats with Mike, who's one of our partners here, right? And he has that's basically his, you could say his passion is to create some of these tutorials. But I had long chats with Mike about these topics, and it's obviously also a lot of the tutorials. There are tutorials and there are tutorials.
Yes,
most of them are just learning how to press buttons. Those don't stick around, right? Because the buttons will change in a month. It's more about the base methodology of how you approach things, how you think, how you use the underlying structure that is told in certain tutorials. And Mike is doing this, for example, very deliberately in trying to teach the methodology, the underlying structure. But your answer went exactly in the direction of what I also thought, and that's kind of visual effects or the creative industries are an industry where people need to work together and people need to like other people, and it's a team effort. If you're a lone wolf and you don't consider to prepare your work so that the next person down the pipeline can actually take it over properly, and if you don't communicate with them properly, then you're going to have a hard time yourself, and also you're going to make other people potentially miserable. And so during my studies in architecture, that was actually some of the hardest things, and that was done very purposeful in assigning people to do group projects together. And you have to figure out, even if you're not compatible with the other person, you have to find a way to make it happen. And that's part of the exercise. It's not just the delivery of the art or the design or whatever it is. It's also solving or kind of the social engineering behind the group dynamics that you have to specifically address, because that's necessary in a dialogue with a client. Right? Yeah. And that's something that you need to kind of physically talk to people and or read their emotions in virtual or in Zoom calls or whatever. But this is really hard to learn from YouTube.
True, and exactly my thoughts, especially if you want to do something special. You have this ego, you know, and if you do with YouTube, if you miss this social thing, tomorrow you land in a job where the teamwork is necessary, then you will see what you will miss. And this is what we also teach on school. We do we have some exercises when we have to build with groups and choose them how to work and how to deal with insecurities, or especially the ego in our industry is very high. You know that everybody want to strike with his own idea, and if his idea is not considered, then it would taken personal and things like that. But this is also a learning process, and you don't learn this learning process to deal with your flaws in communication with colleagues, because we know a team is just a group of people that function together. And if you don't bring this group to function together, you don't have a team, and you don't have a good work result. Lone wolves will be lone wolves, but they will never achieve the peak of the industry. They will just be somewhere what a lone wolf can achieve by himself, so alone. So
yeah, nevertheless, I mean, not everybody on this planet sadly has the opportunity yet to actually do and get into such a proper education, right? And for that, I think I deeply respect the people that do make it into the industry against all of those odds, and that do have YouTube, for example, as a source for kind of getting everything started, and then can reach out to people. It's also part of why we are doing this conference here, to get people a platform to reach out and get some help. And yeah, so this is super inspirational for me also to see that, yes, in the 21st century there are more options now to get into the industries. But so there's another question actually by Mike. Let me read this one for you.
Yeah.
Would you personally say that is it wise to seek work as an employee or work project-based as a freelance artist when active in visual effects? What's your opinion on that?
I will start like an employee first, because there when you get the first steps. If you start as a freelance and do your own thing, or choose just the work that you do as a freelance, maybe now we have a COVID and post-COVID era when mostly they work from home, and the social contact via okay, this is just my opinion. It doesn't have to be everybody's opinion, Mike. If the social contact via Teams or things like that is never the same as if you go sometimes 1 day a week or 2 days a week with people together. For the start, I will definitely prefer to start to work, because you will have to do jobs that you don't want to, because you work every day there. As a freelance, maybe you can choose what you want to do, but this is good. But everything that you choose, and this is the message from everybody there that is now looking and is going to look the recording, everything that you do and seem easy to you, it means you are working under your capacity, what you're able to. And you get along with that, you will not make progress. And being satisfied with that, what you do as a freelancer, and choosing, no, I cannot do this and do that, it means that you are going to have a static position and not really go further with you. That's why for the beginning, working as an employee, you work sometimes project that you like, but sometimes you have to do things that you don't like because you're part of the job. but this is something what makes you to a better artist and better professional, because we have a lot of talents, but not so many professionals out there. So.
Yeah, plus on top of that, obviously as a freelance artist, you will need to be or become really strong in negotiation and all the business aspects of writing invoices. How do you project budgeting and so on, right?
These are things that most of the freelancer avoid to learn, and they don't want to do it. And then they say, oh no, I know also, I knew people that were CEOs from companies, and they were still artists and less CEOs, but we needed them as CEOs, you know, or the people needed them as CEOs. So, you know, it comes with the territory. If you have this kind of responsibility, then you take much more as a freelance. Then you have to learn that by yourself. You have to get some things. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Absolutely not, because you can work also as a freelance on site to somebody's company, and you are the same as an employee. But for the very, very, very beginning, I would prefer company, or do freelancing with a group of people, 2 or 3, so that you work together on something and you grow together. It's much better. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Agon, so much for the presentation. I really enjoyed it, and
thank you
also
very much for having me.
Just again the whole list of the advantages of the Visual Effects Society. It's a lot that you get for this membership, and yeah, I would also highly encourage everybody to look into it. And yeah, if there are more questions, I would say now's the time to speedily hop over to Discord, and we are actually going to take just a short break. Let's do 5 minutes, and then we'll be back with Yvonne. All right, thank you again so much, and
thank you, everybody.
see you very soon.